Ah. Val realized the problem. Is this really necessary? He called out to the scattering of marshals around them.
This is the central point of the arena where the game will begin,
the referee answered from his position in the middle of the pond, crossing his arms just above the water level, and looking utterly unbothered by the utter ridiculousness of the situation.
Though I will allow participants to conduct an appropriate display of sportsmanship before the game begins whenever they wish.
How gracious, Jack muttered sarcastically. Sorry, Jack, do you mind being part of the initial scrum? Val asked apologetically. While Pludro would be the best equipped, doing that with the keeper isn't the best idea. Fine, Jack sighed after a pause. Just me? No, 2 others at the sides, Val considered. Nika's too short. Hey! The kitten growled. Sorry, Val snorted. Scifi, you go on the right since you can fly out if needed. I guess I'll take the left. I shouldn't ask you to do anything I wouldn't do myself.
Well, if it's any consolation, looks like our opponents aren't a fan of wading in the water either, Scifi noted,
pointing at 2 of their robed opponents, who were hurriedly whispering to each other, and more than once snuck glances at Jack before he felt a subtle tug on his arm. What's up? He asked quickly, as he saw Val hurry over to the nervous-looking Zale in the rear to explain their part of the plan. Jack, Nika whispered, I've got an idea. Should I be worried? Jack whispered back, grinning as Nika swatted him with her tail. The initial scrum might be tricky, Nika reasoned. It's packed with spellcasters, so we need to get the ball out of this room as soon as you can. Do you reckon you could go long and get it to me if I make a dash for that far tunnel over there? She subtly indicated the one in question with her tail. I probably could if they're not marking you and I'm not blocked, Jack reasoned, remembering the rough size and weight of the balls they used for the last game. You're going for an early rush? Yep, the kitten grinned. They'll have plans for the initial scrum and need time to cast some of their more powerful spells, but it'll throw them off if the ball's already out there, and I can try and get a quick goal in. But if they get early possession, our defense will be at a disadvantage, Jack pointed out. So don't let them, Nika shrugged. If you can't get it straight to me, get it to Val or Scifi. They'll know what to do if I call for it. Well, it's a terrible idea, Jack joked with a chuckle, as a daring look passed between the 2 of them. But hell, I don't have anything better, so let's do it.
Teams are invited to exchange gestures of honor now, the referee called,
still standing in his spot in the middle of the pond, showing no signs of being in any kind of discomfort. Jack didn't know whether he should be relieved or concerned by that. Come on, everyone, Val called over, after having a quick word with Karzan, and their team gathered together on the grass by the pond. The opposing team did the same, all wearing a team uniform of yellow and bronze, showcasing their Mirrodin sponsorship. Let's be cool with them. Then Rel, Krill, and Plu, you go to your spots. Jack stepped forward, offering firm yet polite handshakes to the first few opponents, who returned the gesture with silent nods and a few nervous smiles, while murmuring simple pleasantries. Jack idly noted them as he moved on to the next guy, finding himself met with a challenging stare from a pair of icy blue eyes.
So you're the one we've been warned about.
The speaker was an avian with light grey feathers that were tinged with blue, and he gave Jack a cocky, confident grin as he met their challenging stare with one of his own. That's me, Jack shrugged.
Cool,
the guy nodded with a grin.
I'm looking forward to the challenge.
So am I, Jack smiled back as he shook hands. Eventually he reached the end, where the captain, who resembled an oversized lemur, allowed his handshake to linger just a moment longer than the others. His confident smirk was impossible to miss, and his grip was firm, exuding a quiet challenge.
Good fortune, outsider, the captain grinned. You're going to need it.
Funny, Jack quipped back. I was going to say the same to you.
If the players are quite done, the game will begin shortly,
the head referee called out from the pond, causing several cheers to erupt from the crowd.
Combatants, please make your way to your starting positions, for we shall begin shortly.
The head referee raised his voice at the last part, followed by a louder round of cheers from the spectators as they stopped fidgeting and got ready for the carnage. Best of luck, everyone, Val called out, as Jack spotted Pludro and their 2 protectors dart off down one of the back corridors. Right, Jack sighed, as he walked over to the pond, ignoring the look of the referee within, while a few of his teammates passed him, giving him a reassuring pat on the shoulder as they did so. "We're really doing this, aren't we?" Tentatively, he stepped into the pond, feeling his foot sink into the mud below, as the water quickly drew up over his ankle. "God damn it, why?" he cursed. "Why does it have to be so cold?" "The temperature of the arena has been tested and approved by our staff," the referee called over to him, unamused. "Take your position." "It's not as bad as the swamp from the last run," Jack thought to himself as he gritted his teeth. "But still, ew." He waded further in, ignoring the chilly sensation as the water level came above crotch level, making his way to where the referee indicated him to be, while the grey-furred avian on the opposing team met him on the opposite side, with the rest of the opposing team marking the members of his. He didn't like how several of the closest opponents were the more confident-looking ones he shook hands with just moments ago. The head referee looked around to another referee, standing to the side of the chamber, who was listening in on a comms device. The woman then met his eye and nodded once, which he reciprocated. The referee team then scattered to cover the field of play, as the head referee brought out the ball and laid it perfectly in the centre of the pond. "Combatants! Are you ready?" the referee yelled, louder than Jack thought possible from the small creature. He was answered by various shouts, nods, and bashes from the players, though only the team captains were acknowledged, as Val and the other team captain gave nods. "Spectators! Are you ready?" the referee yelled again, to massive cheers from the crowd around them, as the referee brought out a loudspeaker-like drone that he threw into the air above the ball, before quickly getting out of the way of the incoming carnage. Jack began to shake with anticipation as the drone initiated the countdown. "3! The crowd yelled in tune with the referee, excited for the brawl to begin. 2! Jack narrowed his eyes and focused, his blood pumping. 1! He saw Nika to his left, getting ready to run. Beep! The whistle blew, and the game erupted into motion. The ball suddenly shot up from the centre of the pond with a burst of energy, its metallic sheen reflecting the artificial sunlight filtering through the botanical dome. The moment the ball was launched, Jack surged forward, quickly diving down under the water as a magical bolt of energy shot his way from nearby, barely missing his head. The avian in front of him was fast, cutting through the water towards him with unnatural agility. They pushed their palms forward, glowing with an unnatural soft blue hue, preparing to use some sort of spell on Jack. Surfacing, Jack grit his teeth as, with a sudden powerful kick off the pond floor, he surged forward and shoulder-checked the mage, who released a surprised squawk as they couldn't dodge out of the way in time, though was able to touch Jack with one of their claws. When the mage touched Jack's shoulder, he felt a chill begin to claw at him, but Jack barely had time to consider it as he leapt up and snatched the ball out of the air as one of the mages to the side tried to grab it with a quick spell, twisting his body mid-motion to break free from the brief chill that nipped at his limbs. A quick scan of the field showed Nika sprinting towards a more open part of the arena, just past a cluster of large, vine-wrapped boulders that jutted from the pond's far end. "Alright, let's do this," Jack thought to himself. With a sharp pivot, Jack held the ball with both hands, sending it soaring past the crowd of warders fighting to get to him, though Jack's aim was slightly off, as the ball landed a bit to the side of the tunnel he had been aiming for, the awkwardly shaped ball bouncing off the ground at a bad angle and juking sharply to the side. Nika was already moving, her eyes locked on the ball as she leapt onto a bench and kicked off it, getting past the opposing team member who was marking her, before dashing as fast as she could towards the ball, awkwardly snatching it just as it bounced again, before using her tail to abruptly change direction, immediately shifting into a full-on pelt towards the nearest goal corridor. Jack exhaled, glad that the plan worked, though he cursed as the avian opposite him pointed their wand at him, knocking him backwards with a blast of force. He slipped on the mud at the bottom of the pond, falling roughly onto his back with a loud splash. "Not bad, outsider, but we're prepared for you," the avian grinned, before casting another quick spell. With a sharp crack that echoed across the arena, he launched himself into the air, propelled by a sudden burst of ice forming beneath his feet. He arced high above the pond, twisting gracefully through the air as he yelled out a single word.
Now!
Jack immediately got to his feet and started rushing to the edge of the pool, looking around in a panic as he spotted at least 5 wands immediately pointed his way. "Aw, fuck," Jack got out, as several bolts of pale blue and white light shot right at him. He saw one of the bolts miss him, while another smacked into his arm, only to bizarrely bounce harmlessly off, launching into the pond and instantly freezing the section of water it hit. "Keep it up!" the avian yelled, as Jack braced himself, trying to keep his legs moving even as they became slow and sluggish as he fought to get to the edge of the water. He raised his arms defensively as he felt the impacts of more spells hit him, keeping his head down as he fought to keep moving before the avian yelled out, "Glacio!" Jack felt the temperature plummet in an instant, ice creeping up his legs and locking them in place before he could fully react. The surface of the pond, already chilled and full of ice thanks to the sheer bombardment of spells flung at him, solidified unnaturally fast as the water beneath his waist turned from fluid to rock-hard ice in mere seconds. "Son of a..." Jack growled, instinctively trying to wrench himself free, but his movements were already sluggish. His boots were encased in thick ice, his legs pinned in place like he'd been cemented into the pond floor, and he struggled to maintain his balance. "Looks like you're not so fast when you're struck, eh?" he heard the avian taunt him, already getting into a defensive stance in case Jack managed to break free quicker than expected. The crowd watching the match roared in excitement at the bold maneuver, while the opposing team wasted no time pressing their advantage, spreading out to intercept any incoming teammates that might try to rescue Jack. Zale finished manifesting their Earth Spirit as originally planned, giving them the numbers advantage. "Krill! Rail! Can you get Jack out?" Val called out, though if they gave an answer Jack couldn't tell. He knew that the bulk of the players were waiting in this chamber for the 2 secondary balls to be released. Trapped in place, Jack exhaled sharply, a misty breath escaping his lips as the chill clung to his skin. "Damn, they got me pretty good," he grudgingly admitted to himself, but then a familiar grin tugged at the corner of his chattering mouth, despite the agonizing discomfort all over him. "Alright, fine, but let's see if this ice actually holds." Jack clenched his fists, willing his gauntlets to form twin cestus around his wrists, as he strained against the ice encasing his legs, frost biting at his skin. The cold had sunk deep into his muscles, numbing him from the waist down. The ice was thick, and every slight movement sent sharp cracks through its structure, but not enough to break free. "Come on," Jack cursed in his mind. His breath came out in misty puffs as the frozen air around him clawed at his lungs. He flexed his arms and drove his fists downward, trying to shatter the ice near his knees. And although several cracks spiderwebbed out from the impacts, it held firm for now. He could feel his body reacting sluggishly, his strength dulled by the chill, and he knew he was in big trouble if he couldn't get out. From the sidelines he could hear Critch yelling, "Come on, Jack! You're not about to let some fancy ice cubes keep you down, are you?" He shot the Lister a flat, unamused glare, then gritted his teeth and tensed his core. He smacked the ice around his chest as hard as he could, cracking it around him before twisting his upper body sharply, throwing his weight to one side. The section of ice holding his torso cracked and came apart as he threw the loose pieces away, but his legs remained stuck. He repeated the sharp motion again and again, each twist widening the fractures until... Crack! His left leg burst free, sending shards of ice skidding across the frozen pond. "One down," he muttered to himself through his chattering teeth, shaking off the numbness creeping up his calf. His right leg, however, was still locked in place, trapped in an even thicker layer of ice. With a growl of frustration, Jack shifted his weight onto his free leg and braced himself. Drawing in a deep breath, he slammed his heel downward, the impact sending a shock of force through the ice. "Agni!" he muttered, bracing and angling himself away as he shot out a jet of flame that melted the ice near his foot, quickly dismissing the flames as he squirmed and struggled before the ice beneath him exploded outward, sending shards flying as Jack stumbled forward and made it to the edge of the pond, clambering out to weakly crawl on the ground. "Fuck! He's already out!" someone yelled. "What the hell? How?" the avian chirped from somewhere. "Fuck!" Jack groaned as he weakly got to his feet, jumping up and down and rubbing his legs to try and get some warmth into him. "Well done, Jack!" Val called, while grappling with the avian that had trapped him. You good? Rail, get some healing in him. Zale, can you get your fire spirit out to thaw him? I'll be fine, Jack gasped out, not actually sure if that was true. In the heat of the moment, it didn't matter. He was out, and just in time. He heard the sound of a loud buzzer echo throughout the field of play, but whether that meant Nika had managed to score, or the time limit had been reached, he couldn't tell. Jack turned just in time to see 2 additional balls thrown into the field of play from referees hidden within the crowd. One hit the icy surface of the pond before bouncing off and landing in the middle of the grass about 20 meters ahead of him, while another was flung further across the field where Critch was rushing over to. The secondary balls were now in play. Still shaking off the lingering numbness, Jack cracked his knuckles, rolled his shoulders, and let out a slow, misty breath. "All right," Jack growled to himself. "Payback time!"